From Russia's exploding tanks to sinking ships and suicidal human wave infantry attacks, it's fair to say that Moscow's military has failed to live up to the hype in Ukraine. The one saving grace has been its missiles, which have been raining down death and destruction on the country since the very first moment of the invasion. But all of that could be about to change after Ukraine successfully shot down a hypersonic Kinzhal missile over Kiev last month. Vladimir Putin brags that this $10 million weapon, whose name means dagger, can travel up to 10 times the speed of sound, or 12,000 miles per hour. Kinzhal, Putin claims, is therefore unstoppable. Or it was, at least until America supplied Ukraine with Patriot anti-air systems, which are thought to have blown one out of the sky in early May. Since then, Kiev claims to have shot down 6 more, in what would be a major blow to one of the few branches of Russia's military not yet humiliated in the war. This is the story of the missile war raging in Ukraine's skies, and how Vladimir Putin's unstoppable missile got well and truly stopped. Before the tanks and the troops, before the artillery guns and the armoured vehicles, came the missiles. The very first signal the world got that Ukraine was under full-scale attack was when a salvo of Russian rockets exploded across the country in the early hours of February the 24th last year. By 9 a.m. that day, Kiev said more than 30 sites had been hit, from Lviv in the west to Mariupol in the east. By the end of the following day, more than 160 missiles had struck Ukraine, fired from ships in the Black Sea, jets circling overhead, and ground units in both Russia and Belarus. Videos showed Caliber cruise missiles skimming low over the country before slamming into their targets. Every single military airfield in Ukraine was hit, along with 75% of its static air defences, radar stations, and a large number of fuel dumps. As the dust settled from the opening salvo, Russia's missile forces turned their attention to other targets, Ukrainian cities in the path of their invasion. Kiev was among the first to be hit. Video taken on February the 26th showed a rocket blowing apart a tower block in the city. On the morning of March the 1st, Russian rockets struck and destroyed the Kiev TV tower along with a nearby Holocaust memorial, killing 5 people. That set the stage for nearly a month of continual bombardment on the Ukrainian capital. One of the largest explosions took place at the Retroville shopping center to the north of Kiev, which Russia claimed was being used by Ukraine as a military base. Footage showed the building being struck and exploding, killing at least 8 people. Just 2 days prior, Russia claimed to have used a Kinzhal missile to destroy an arms dump in the west of Ukraine, the first ever combat use of the weapon. British intelligence said Russia was resorting to long-range missile strikes as its ground forces struggled to advance. And most of these strikes hit their targets, as Ukraine's badly damaged air defences intercepted less than 1 in 5 of Russia's cruise missiles. As Russia's ground invasion went from bad to worse, its missile attacks stepped up. Then, in June, a shopping mall in the city of Kremenchuk was hit by 2 Kh-22 anti-ship missiles, originally designed to take out American aircraft carriers. During the ensuing summer, Russian strikes against civilians increased further, with the city of Mykolaiv hit by salvos of up to 12 rockets every few days. Many of these strikes were carried out using S-300 anti-air missiles repurposed for ground strikes, suggesting Russia was running low of other, more sophisticated rockets. While the attacks provided limited military benefit, they did serve to terrorize civilians, millions of whom fled Ukraine's major cities to avoid being killed. In October last year, Putin promoted General Sergei Surovikin to lead Russian forces in Ukraine, and he quickly implemented a new missile strategy. Instead of just bombing civilians, he focused Russia's dwindling stocks of precision-guided rockets on the country's power plants and water supplies as well. Coupled with Shahed 136 suicide drones, which appeared in the skies a month earlier, the first mass attack against Ukrainian infrastructure took place on October the 10th. Russia launched 84 cruise missiles and 28 drones at cities the length and breadth of Ukraine in an attack reminiscent of the first day of the war. The strike succeeded in knocking out around 30% of Ukraine's power, while entire cities were left without water for hours afterwards. But Ukraine's air defences were improving, and by the end of the year, they were shooting down around 60% of the incoming rockets. Russia kept up its bombardment throughout the winter, but it failed to break the resolve of the Ukrainians to fight. In early January, General Surovikin was demoted. Missile strikes have continued since then, including one in March that used 6 Kinzhal missiles to take out almost half of Kiev's power grid. But they have become less frequent. Meanwhile, Ukraine's Western allies have sent missile defense systems, including Patriots and NASAMS, to block the attacks. They are thought to have come online in early May, and the results have been stark. Over the course of the month, Russia is thought to have launched missiles and drones worth almost $2 billion at Ukraine, 90% of which were blown from the skies. That includes a Kinzhal hypersonic shot down over the capital on May 4th. The Pentagon has confirmed the hit, making it the first time one of Putin's supposedly unstoppable rockets has ever been blown out of the sky. Washington refused to say which system was used to take the hypersonic down, but it is widely thought to have been a Patriot. Then, on May the 16th, Kiev claimed to have shot down 6 more in a single night in what the Air Force described as the most sophisticated aerial attack ever on the capital. Aside from the Kinzhals, Ukraine claimed to have taken out 9 caliber cruise missiles, 3 anti-air missiles, and 6 Shahed drones. Footage taken the same night showed an anti-air battery, also presumed to be a Patriot, working furiously to defend the capital. An explosion on the ground towards the end of the video led Russia to claim it had hit and destroyed the system, but the US believes it was merely damaged. Experts also questioned whether it was really hit by a Russian missile and said the explosion could have been a misfire. The Patriot system may also be responsible for one of the Russian Air Force's worst days of the war. 5 aircraft were shot down inside southern Russia, including an Su-34 bomber and 2 valuable electronic warfare helicopters. Ukraine and Western officials have refused to say how the shootdowns happened, but experts have speculated that Ukraine temporarily moved an air defense system, possibly a Patriot, close to the Russian border, allowing them to strike targets above Russia itself. All of this is very bad news for Vladimir Putin. Out of a total of 162 missiles fired at Ukraine since Western air defenses came online, just 16 are thought to have found their targets. Russia simply cannot afford to keep that up. Its missile stockpiles are low, and Kiev estimates it can manufacture just 40 additional rockets per month. And the fact that Ukraine can now shoot down even its supposedly unstoppable Kinzhal means Moscow cannot guarantee a hit, even on the most valuable of targets. That will force Putin's generals to fire multiple missiles at a single objective to increase the chances that one gets through, further dwindling their supplies. Ukraine's situation is not ideal either. Patriot missiles are expensive and hard to replace, meaning ammunition will also be a problem for them. Meanwhile, President Zelensky estimates that 50 Patriot systems are needed to defend his entire country, and at the moment, he has just 2. As the counterattack gets into full swing, those systems may need to move away from cities and towards the front lines to protect troops as they advance. But the significance of Ukraine thwarting Russia's missile attacks, which have been one of the most lethal weapons in Putin's arsenal up to this point, cannot be understated. And taking down one of his much-hyped Kinzhal missiles is an historic achievement. For now, at least, Putin's dagger has been blunted. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more videos like this on the ongoing war in Ukraine.